know that.
What's that?
I love a challenge.
Yes, it's
It's
the
certainly a
biggest
challenge.
the biggest challenge is to keep changing moving the goalposts.
Yeah,
Every
no,
time,
yeah. I'm
every
just,
time.
I'm
Well,
not that familiar. I'm not that really familiar with it. I'm still learning. Actually, just learning it still, aren't I? I'm still learning Forex. I'm still learning your manual methods at the moment. So it's like, IT wise, I can't really. I can monitor it and see where it's going, but I'm trying to match it to the manual, the way of doing it.
yeah.
And with what I'm doing at the moment, it's not matching up. It don't seem to be matching up. And I know there's some points we can amend, but I don't know.
Okay. So I'm nearly there. Nearly there. Right. So if I go back to the US, go back to Zoom. I need to right. So I've already disabled the waiting room. Just you and I on, and I'm already streaming to YouTube. Okay, so I share that. Right. So I need you to tell me, can you see?
See your Euro USD chart.
Can you see the MT5, which is a black background, and behind it I've got a white a training view with a white background, but I'm not sure if you can see them both.
So I can see your MT5.
Okay, that's the one with the black background, but you can't see the other one. Is
No,
that
I can't see anything else on there.
okay? So let me just try sharing screen again. Thought I could do it all on the one screen, but obviously not. So you can you now see my trading view
Yeah, can see that.
with a white background? Okay, so basically what I've done is I thought I could show you one sitting on top of the other. There must be a way, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Basically, what I've done, I'm just going to look at Euro US, and I'm going to compare the trading view with the MT5. So basically, I put a little yellow shaded area there. So I'm on the 1 minute chart, and I'm trying to replicate what happens on the MT5. So basically, it starts at that point there, and it waits until that point there, which is 15 minutes past one. And it chooses the highest point and the lowest point within that yellow shaded area. So we'll then be able to place the two trend lines and see if they match the two trend lines on the other chart. Now, whilst we're waiting, I've already had a look at the inputs on uh, this water atta down at the bottom. So can you see my water atta down at the bottom of the
Yeah, can
panel?
see that. Yeah,
If I click on settings and I go to inputs, I've got 85, 20, 40, 20, and 2. I've written those down, and when we go to the MT5, I'll look at the settings on that one as well. So I've made a note of the inputs that we've just looked at there. So we should be looking for 85, 20, 40, 20, and 2. And I just spotted, well, when I was getting ready to come on, I spotted something else, but Just need to move that out of the way there. And because it's obviously going up, so get rid of those. Just move that up there. So might move that down. So this should have the same effect as it used to do when we do it on the 15-minute candle. We used to draw it on the 15-minute candle and then drop down to the 1 minute. It shouldn't make any difference whatsoever, but we're just going to find out if it does. So we've got 8 minutes left, is it? 8 minutes? 7 minutes left. So, and I was also, so that I've taken the inputs off the water actor to compare. What I'm also comparing is I used to look at the cloud, and originally we had 4 moving averages. We had the 200, which we've still got. We have the green line is the 62, and the red line is the 13, and the cloud is the space in between the 13 and the 62. Now, on the MT5, on the EA Expert Advisor, we used to, well, I think you've still got it as the 13, the 62, and the 200.
Yeah.
Without, you don't have the coloration in between to highlight it, but that's just visual. I've recently, well, yesterday started testing it, omitting the 62. I'm thinking that once this red line crosses the 200, maybe that is when we should be getting in. Because if you wait until the 62 reaches or goes past the 200, you've run out of upward movement. So the upward movement seems to be between that point there and that point there. So I'm looking at just using the 13 and the 200 and getting into a trade when the 13 crosses over the 200. Then we'll be able to take advantage of that big upward move.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to test that. I've just put it on, but I've done some back testing, and I've noticed that, for instance, here, both of them crossed over pretty close together. But if we got in when the red line came below the 200, we would have taken advantage of not all of that candle, but some of that candle. Whereas when we got in here, it's sort of moving in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of thinking that the key or the sweet spot is when it, we'll just have another look at that one there, see what,
It took a Euro USD trade this morning on a buy at 8.33 for me.
right. So at 8.33, just get rid of, no, I need to put it straightforward for it. So, and then get rid of those. So at 8.33, it took a buy.
Yeah, it took a Euro USD buy. Price at
Yeah.
108, 1.10875.
Okay, so that's sort of at that level there. Got you in at that point when it had started to turn back down, hadn't it?
Yeah.
If
And I've noticed
we
that's happened quite a few on those this week that we just mentioned. I won't go into them all, but I've mentioned, I checked, I've been checking them. I think there's been about 10, 12 trades. There's quite a few of them where it's got in, where there's, when we look at it manually, it's been the opposite colour candle. But when you go down to the Wada Atta, it's also been going. It's been less. It's we wouldn't have got in normally. It's not been a darker shade indicator. It's been, and sometimes, so I think there's been the odd one or two where it's actually been below the explosion line, the black line. So I was just curious if there's any settings in there that's making it do that.
Right. So we'll compare the inputs on the Wada Atta. I think I've
What was the Wada
determined
Atta? What was the Wada Atta doing at 8:33?
it was a very pale green, and the explosion line certainly wasn't pointing upwards, it was pointing
Yeah.
downward. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll have a look at that. But if you look at the if I look even further back, I'm looking for the point where the um, okay, I was looking for the point where the 13 moving average crossed over the 200, and it's way back. It's before 7:30. What's going on? Yeah, so going way back, it, it so it wouldn't have triggered at that point, and it would have got me in if I got in there when it crossed over the 200. It would have been a slow start, and then it would have been a huge leap.
Yeah.
So that was a missed opportunity. If I'd gone out, well, I could have stayed in up to there, but if I stayed in all the way,
You're just waiting for the 13 to cross over the 200, or are you getting any other points on wave up or wave down?
well, I'm going to look at the way I'm sort of dissecting it
Right.
bit by bit. So looking first of all at the 200, sorry, the 13 crossing over the 200. That is a 6 pip move up there. So you could have got 6 pips there, which we didn't get using the MT4. So basically what I'm doing is I'm looking at I'm going to compare the Wada Atta. I've taken a note of the reading of the settings for the Wada Atta. I'm testing getting the getting the EA to take me in once the red line, or once the 13 crosses the 62, so it crosses the 200. There's a couple of other things. Well, obviously we need to consider the trend line, which we can put into position now. And the other thing we need to consider is the wave. So we'll look at the trend lines first, since we're at that point now. So move that up there. So that's 1 o'clock, that's 1:15. The highest point was at the top of that wick. And if I look left from that top of that wick, I can see that candle there is slightly higher. So if I put I just need the week magnet to, yeah, and then I need to extend this a little bit. So that's touching the top of that, when we used to use the 15-minute, that would have been the top of the 15-minute candle. But because we're on the 1 minute, we need to extend this a little bit further. So
Yeah, that matches the MT5 because I've just checked it.
okay, so we've solved that one. We had a bit of a struggle getting that where we needed it. I was hoping you were going to say that that matches. Let me find the red one. So the red one needs to be on the lowest point in this yellow shaded area. Now, as far as I can see, the lowest point is the very first candle, that one there. So I need to look left from there, and I can see that that is the nearest lower. I'm just going to get rid of the cloud and the straightforward. So that's the lowest point where my dotted line is, and that's the nearest lower one. I need to get that to pass through more or less the center of that first green candle. And that's as near as
It's took it on the MT5 on the Euro USD. It's took it where you've got it there, just below the yellow shaded area. It's took it to the other lowest point previous to that, about
here.
12 there. Yeah.
Right, so I can look at that. I'm not sure whether you can see it, but yeah, it's actually it's taken the beginning, it's taken the lowest point and then just taken it hasn't taken it back to that one. That's so let's just check this. The first candle on the MT5 and the oh no, hang on a minute. No, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Where that's a 1:15. What's this one? That's news. Okay, so yeah, that I've actually got the news overlapping the that must be the white line behind that. So if I go into settings and just get rid of the news. So change that to false. Let's do that temporarily. Right, okay. So that red line was actually superimposed on that white line. What I was saying was that lowest point on the 15, that's the 15-minute gap. It's taken it from the lowest point. It hasn't looked back. If it had looked back, it would have found that that candle was actually lower. It's taken it from the beginning of the 15-minute, and it's drawn it across the bottom of those. So that's wrong. That needs to go backwards. It's got the green trend line is accurately positioned. As it happens, that wouldn't made a huge difference because it would have drawn from there to there. It would have been a steeper red. So I'll point that out. It started in the wrong place. It started, it's looked forward, but it hasn't looked backwards. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this chart here. So we've got the trend lines. Mine's a little bit steeper than Oliver's. Actually, it's pretty similar. By coincidence, it's pretty similar, but it could have been done differently. So I'm going to take off the magnitude. I'm going to what we're going to look at next. If we look at the moving averages for the second one, and I've got a dog here, it's getting very impatient. Lie down, lie down, lie down. Come on, lie down. Right, so the moving average had already crossed at that point. Sorry, at that point. Then it came down, became very narrow, and then well, we need to wait and see what we can't take a trade when the price is in no man's land. So we wait for it to come out below no man's land, and then we start looking where is it in relation. We start saying we're below the red trend line, so we should be thinking about sells, but the 13 is above the 13 is above the 200. Therefore, we cannot get in for a sell. So we need to wait until that 13 crosses over the 200 before we've got an entry. Unless, of course, price goes up above the green trend line, and then we're in a different scenario. The wave, which I've just altered on my settings, because I realized that on the straightforward Forex 1.2, my wave was always set at 13. So these wave blocks more or less follow the red 13. So they duplicate that information, but I'm trying to compare like with like. So trading manually, I'm looking at these green wave blocks, which have now turned to red wave blocks. But we are going down, price is going down, but we need price to get below the 200, and we need the 13 to cross over the 200. So
the wave blocks relate to 13 MA.
I've got the 13 MA on my straightforward Forex. I'm just going to double check that. Double check straightforward Forex inputs. I need to drag this down. Right, right. No, I'm looking for the wave input smoothing length on my SFF is 13. That's correct. It's always been 13. So these wave blocks and my wave blocks, and this morning I've altered the settings on the MT5 on the EA to I forget what I think they were 38. I've changed mine, but I will go through the settings with you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm comparing like with like, because once we get Oliver to change this so that it looks backwards, what the MT5 did on this pair this afternoon is it only looked forward, and it looked forward from that green candle there. And as it happened, it's pretty close to where it should have been, but it should have been there, because if I would look as far back as the start of today's session. So we need to allow this trend line to look much further back. Maybe if that wick wasn't there, it would have had to go back to that down there, which does make a difference.
That's the line it's drawn, isn't it? That's the one it's
Yeah.
drawn on the MT5.
It's drawn it on the MT5, but it started it at that green candle there, and it is slightly different to the one I've got, but not massively different, because we would be below the red trend line anyway right now. So we're below the red trend line. If we were trading manually, we'd be waiting for price to get below the 200, because my theory is that before it goes below the 200, it could well bounce. So it could bounce off the 200 and it might go back up again. It may eventually come below the 200, but I would wait till it got below the 200 before I thought about getting in. And I would wait with the 30 MAs, is 13 was 62 and the 200. I would want those two smaller moving averages to be below the 200 if I was trading manually. I'd also be looking at this, which is red flag news at 130. So we've covered those are the four criteria. So if we go through them, are we below the red trend line or above the green trend line? Well, we're below the red trend line. So I'm looking for sells. I've got a wave down, which occurred, that's when it changed from green wave blocks to red wave blocks. So that we've got a wave down here at 1319. So let's just double check that on the, not sure if you can see this, but no, I don't think you can, but 1319 is there. So we had a slightly earlier wave down, strangely enough. But we still wouldn't be in. Actually, no, there's a big difference here. So if I go back to, yeah, I need to take a couple of screenshots here because there is a big difference. Right, so right now, we're not only below the red trend line, but we're actually straddling the, well, we're on the news, so things are going crazy. But that's a good point for me to take a screenshot. Well, I can come back to that. But my point is that on the trading view version, my red trend line, right, that is the big difference. The red trend line is definitely different on this chart than it would be on, let me share. Right. Can you see this? This is much lower at this point. It's actually crossing the 200 on that red candle. No, it's actually crossing it a little bit earlier, but that is very different. It looks similar, but it will make a big difference as to when you would get in, because basically, sorry, dog. Basically, we haven't yet, well, we've wicked down below the red trend line on the candle before the current candle, and that is not the case on my right. So if you're looking at my trading view chart, we've been below the red trend line for some time. On the other chart, we didn't get below the red trend line until this candle. So that is a big difference. that'll probably explain most of the lost trades, because we're looking at being below the red trend line much earlier. We probably wouldn't get in anyway because there's red flag news.
Yeah.
But that is a crucial difference, which I need to point out to Oliver. The green trend line is okay. The red trend line, because of the angle of the red trend line, we're way below the red trend line, even at that point, even at 13.19. We didn't get below it on the other chart until 13.29, so there's a 10-minute difference caused by that trend line not starting in the same place.
Yeah, well, it's just took for me. It's just took a GBP USD trade, a buy, and that one's gone against as well. So I don't know whether it's the trend line on that. I haven't drawn the trend line on that one yet, but
Well, mine, but bear in mind I've got a newer version than you
right,
have.
okay, all
I've,
right,
I've,
okay,
I've just loaded mine up this morning. This is the first time I've used it. But
okay.
basically what it's, let me just try and show you my GBP USB. Right, so GBP USD, that's what mine looks like. Can you see the MT5 version right now?
Yeah, got that.
Okay, so um, just looking at the red trend line, that's the lowest point there, and it did look back on that occasion. So the red trend line is correctly placed, but it shouldn't have got you in a trade.
It got
Even
me
if
in a trade. The buy trade. It got me in a buy trade at 13.17.
right,
That's 1.318666.
13, okay. So again, that's 13.17 there, and then it immediately changed direction. It got you in because it just went above the green trend line,
Right.
and 13.17, so you wouldn't have been covered by the news. Right, okay. Just having a look
Everything
now.
looks all right. Everything looks all right on that one. What does it?
Um, yeah, you've got the water atta looks favourable. You've
Yeah.
got the 13 have just crossed over the 200, but it didn't. It got you in on that candle, or was it that candle? Yeah, no, yeah. So we need go and lie down, please. Both of you. Lie down. Yeah, and then it's gone way down. Okay, so I'll come back and look at that later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's all right.
We need to focus on Euro US. See that I've got the EA running and it hasn't got me in any trades this afternoon.
Mine's got already traded on it because it did one this morning. So I don't know why
Right.
that is. It's not taking another one. Sometimes they take two, sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Well, if you're looking at Crossfire, um, I'll just make that bigger. I keep the morning session separate to the afternoon session. So if I've already traded in the morning session, when I start the afternoon session, it allows me to trade. It doesn't say already traded. On, you know, if I was looking at Euro US as one of the morning pairs, it wouldn't prevent me from getting in another Euro US in the afternoon because it treats them as a different session. Now they've all sort of tanked, haven't they? They've all got to the news and then gone downwards.
I don't know why it just says already traded, no trading news. That's where it's come up. So I don't know without checking it all through. I'll check it all through.
All right. Well, if you've got an already traded on your chart right now, you need to separate your morning crossfire from your afternoon crossfire. Mind you, this already traded thing is something I need to have a chat with Oliver about because
I know what that. I think I know what that is because what I'm doing is I've not got it quite set. There's only a little. Well, they were that's from last Friday. A couple of the settings. One is I was just deciding to trade Euro USD in the morning,
yeah,
which is none of the other pairs. But what I've also done is in the afternoon, I just wanted to trade either one USD pair, one CAD pair. But what I've done is that they've all got the same magic number.
yes, yeah, that's what it is. I'm going to talk to Oliver and just explore his logic behind this already traded because I was just thinking about that this morning. There have been occasions. Um, no, no trading news, no trading apart from your USD, which is trading, but that's weird. I if you've probably seen when I was posting my results and putting um, trades up, there were occasions when I had more than one trade on the same pair. And I was posting things like 2 bites of the cherry and 3 bites of the cherry and da da da. And I'm just wondering what Oliver's logic is in preventing you getting into a second or even a third trade, because particularly on Euro US, it's a fairly common thing to get more than one trade between 7 a.m. and 9. And it'll be the same in the afternoon, I'm pretty sure. But I've just made myself a note to raise that with Oliver. So I need to raise that. I need to
Are there any
raise.
similar set? I mean, how many trades would it get you into on sort of Paul's? Is there some sort of similar setting that we've got on Crossfire?
No, I was watching one of Paul's sessions, and it was mentioned that this already traded doesn't apply on Paul's strategy, only to Crossfire. So I need to raise that and see if there's any logic that I'm missing on that. Because I don't think we need to prevent second trades.
Right.
If I mean, next Monday should be the start of return to normal because trading,
Yeah.
the banks
I've
have got
noticed, and
this.
when I've actually, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I sometimes in the morning, for example, I'm sat here from 6:15 till still on the manual, sort of looking at them all on what you would normally do Crossfire. I'm actually just watching it from here through till 9 o'clock,
Yeah,
and I just watch it. And there's so much sideways movement at the moment. The candles are a lot bigger. They seem to go up quite a bit, and then they're just coming straight down again and wiping all the um, imbalance out and this, that, the other. It's just moving sideways, but there's so much movement that it's not just 3 pips. They can be going up 10 pips and coming down 10 pips in minutes.
Yeah, it's not a normal trading pattern. And so I'm hoping that once we get past this weekend, it'll start to return to normal. We might get some decent trades.
Have you noticed this sort of pattern over the years?
Oh yeah, all the summer holidays is always it's notorious for being pretty flat. September, October, November, December.
So the markets will return to not they will return to what they normally like.
Yeah, they should do.
Okay.
I mean, nothing's for certain, but I'm hoping that. I mean, we're into September on Monday. August is always a quiet trading month. So hopefully we'll be back to normal. If we can iron out these, but I think the main problem right now with this setup is the trend line isn't matching accurately what I would do if I was on if I was trading manually. I think the moving averages are moving averages. You can't dispute those. So providing we've got the same settings, they're okay. The wave, I've changed mine, so that should improve. If I give you my settings, that should improve your win rate. And the water atta, I need to go back and check that. So let's have a look at Euro US.
I need to download a new version and remove the other one off there on the charts.
If you want to, can you see my? Are you looking at my? I'm on the
G5 at the moment. Wait a minute. I'm looking at your MT5.
Okay, so in the top top right hand corner, I've got EA 1.05. That's literally just come out today.
Yeah, I've got one. I think mine's 104.
I think yours will be 104. It might even be 103. No, it'll be 104. But I've had a couple of versions of 104. This 105 is brand new. And it does seem it didn't take any trades this morning, but I didn't see any opportunities. This does seem to be working. Apart from we just noticed that it really should have looked back.
Yeah.
It should have looked back to that one at least, and then it would have changed the angle. But I'll look at other possibilities. Right, I was going to look at my atta setting. So if I go to indicator list, water atta. So I've got close 85, 20, 40, 22.
Yeah, mine's identical to that.
Right. Okay. So the water atta is identical settings. I think the one thing I did notice about I had the two water attas on the screen. I had this one, and then I had the trading view one, and I think this one was lagging behind by a few milliseconds. It might even been half a second, something like that. This one was kind of lagging behind. It does seem to be working at the minute. If I go back to indicator list, I still have Oliver told me how to do this, and I still can't work out how to do it and save it, but I will do eventually. So I've now got a white line. I mean, that's telling me I should definitely be in for a sell. The water atta is saying short, so that's confirming I should be in for a sell. Why am I not in a sell?
I've got a euro. Mine's, funny enough, my euro USD. even says it wasn't looking. It said I'd already traded. I just changed it back because I put it in GBP USD. I've just changed it back to uh, with the blue hat, and it's just took me into a trade.
All right.
It's just took me into a sell trade on Euro USD
Yeah.
at 13.47. So now,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it should be. You should be in a sell. I should be in a sell, but I'm not. For I don't know why. Because I mean, let's just work this through. I'm below the
yeah,
red trend line. And if you think about it, I should have been below the red trend line earlier, but even on this, I'm now below the red trend line. I'm below the 200 moving average. My 13 is below the 200 moving average. It crossed over at that point there, 135, but it wouldn't have got me in because there was news at 130. So the earliest I could have got in would have been 13, let's say 1540, but it's 1340. So I could and should have been in a sell at that point. And certainly by that candle there, looking at the watt it might have kept me out because it went flat. But then at this point, it should have got me in. At that point, I should have been in. So I would have missed that big, big drop there. But strangely enough, I'm not in any trade. So that's mine is obviously not taking any trades. Okay, so I've made a note to talk to all of you about that. I'm happy with the lines. I had an issue with the lines. It was duplicating lines, and Oliver made a change, and it instead of duplicating the lines, it drew a line on every candle. So I had 15 lines. Anyway, we sorted that. We got the green trend line looking backwards. We need the red trend line to look backwards. We need to know why there's a slight difference between the water atta on this chart and the other water atta. Moving averages, as I say, they are moving averages, so there can't be any difference there. And the wave is now matching. I'm now using a 13. What does that say? The hover there. I can actually smooth. I don't think it gives me a value, but I'll just double check my indicator list. I can actually smooth. I've got two on. But I've got that's a 13. And that's a 13. So I've got two 13s on. I can get rid of one of those. Anyway, I won't do that now because it's not going to get me into a trade. I should be in a trade right now. Should have started me off around about here, but it could have taken me down. So I'll send Oliver a screenshot of that. Let me just have a look at something.
yeah. Look at the way it's looking at the minute. That would have probably won that. The way it's moving at moment, moving at moment.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
In fact, it's already. It's already. It took me out already. It's already done it.
All right.
So it's already made it. But whatever I set it at, it's already done it.
Yeah.
So that came in okay.
Yeah, we've got a glitch there. In the last few minutes, I'll go through my settings. I'll send my settings, but I'll go through them to you with you first. Yeah, that should, we're not only below the red trend line, we're below the 200. The 13 crossed over the 200 at that point, so we should have been in on that candle there. 1335. Mind you, we were blocked out because of news, or I would have been blocked out because of news. until 1340. It should have got me in on that water atta there. It should have got me in at 1344, and I would have. Let me just measure that. Would have been, say, partway down that candle, so that would have been at least 10 pips. So I would have got my 6 pips out of that. So I'll be having words with Oliver. It's something in my settings that's preventing me from getting in.
Right. Yeah, there must be something in mine that's letting me in there. I don't know.
Yeah, well, as you say, as I say, my settings are definitely different to yours. But I'm going to go back to. I'll stop sharing that and I'll start sharing my MT5, and I'll go through settings. Right, so you should be able to see my MT5, which is a black background.
Yeah.
I'm on 105. I can send you the 105, and I'll also send you my settings, but I'm going to go through the settings with you, partly for me to check that I've got everything as I want it. So Euro US, and there's my settings. So first of all, I need to check common allows algo trading, and it does. I've got true, so I'm using the risk percentage for lot calculation. I'm risking 1% at the minute. I'm risking 1%. I don't know why. I really ought to be risking 0.5%. I'm guessing. Right. So on Crossfire, if I was trading 4 pairs, I wouldn't want to risk 1%. I would only risk 0.5%. So I'll change these before I send them to you. So 0.5% per pair, but I've got 4 pairs in the basket down here. I've got the same magic number on all 4 of these afternoon Crossfire pairs. So 4 times 0.5, I'm actually risking a total of 2%. Although that's contradicting the percentage at the balance of the day. So I'll leave that, because what would happen if I lost 2% trading all 4 pairs? So if I lost 4 trades, that would mean I've lost 4 times 0.5%. I've lost 2%, but it would mean that I couldn't get into any more trades, because 2%. If I change that back to 2%, it would just stop me from trading anymore that day.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave that.
It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter on the demo account, does it? 'Cause it's not going to. It's not going to close the account or nothing. It's not going to. Not breaking any rules.
No, but I'm trying to really simulate the funded account rules and
Right.
regulation. Yeah, what I'm going to have a word with Oliver about is asking him why he's programmed it so that it won't let me in once it's traded the first time. I would like the flexibility to be able to choose if I'm going to trade again. So I'm going to keep that at 2. So I'm risking 0.5% to make 1%. I've got a stop loss of 3 and a take profit of 6. I've got a magic number
Are you
which
still leaving? Are you still leaving those the same for the Canadian and the New Zealand pairs?
Yes, I'll explain why. But I just want to make the point about the magic number. I've got a different magic number on the morning pairs to what I have in the afternoon pairs.
I'm going to have to change mine for that one.
And the way I do that is I create a different profile, and I'll show you that in a second. But this 68 only applies 1, 2, 3, 4, 68 applies to the Crossfire afternoon sessions. Move the chart to the left, send alerts, that's true. I have a maximum spread of 2 pips. And that keeps me out of any trades where the spread is higher, and that works. And I have the same spread maximum on the morning session, and it quite often keeps me out of the New Zealand pairs. But I'm happy with that. I'm happy not to get in when the spread is more than 2. It's not so relevant in the afternoon, because even though the CAD pairs do tend to be higher than the USD pairs, they tend not to go over 2 pips. Daily loss protection of 4 and daily profit 8. That's okay, providing you've got the magic. So the basket turn to true. Partial settings I've never changed. I have the news. I turned that off, but I need to turn it back on again. I need it to stop trading during the news 10 minutes before and 10 minutes after. I just don't want to be caught in any of those silly moves. As you say, it doesn't make any difference on demo, but I'm trying to replicate under the count. I've got this set to 180 bars. It was originally on 120. I like it to take me out when the Heikin-Ashi changes. If you
Yeah, it's done that on a couple of mine this week.
The drop-down menu, I prefer that to the take profit. It gets you out a little bit earlier. I've just changed this smoothing period. It was on 38, and I've just changed it this afternoon to 13. So that is the same as the SFF. That's the wave. That's the Heikin-Ashi candle. And when they change from red to green, green to red, I'm working on the 13-minute input. So that's a new. And the look back bars on the Heikin-Ashis, I've got them currently set to 30. So it looks back 30 candles. And if there's been a wave change within the last 30 candles, it will get you into trade. If the wave change was prior to those 30 candles, it won't let you in. F3G, I already had them set to 0. HMA doesn't read the HMA on the Crossfire anyway, so it doesn't matter what you've got in there, it doesn't read it. Crossover, I'm getting it to, I'm saying true, but I've got 2 13s. I used to have a 13, a 62, and a 200. I've now got 2 13s and a 62. So, sorry, 2 13s and a 200. So I'm disregarding the 68. Everything else is.
Is that going to get that with not having the 62 there? That's getting you in earlier, then, isn't it? Like you were trying to say.
Yeah, it's basically I'm looking at this crossover.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the 13 crossing over the 200 rather than waiting for the 62 to cross over, which will be later. I'm hoping that this is going to get me in earlier.
Yeah.
So I'm using the 13 and the 62. So the 13 is a yellow line, and these Heikin-Ashis are based on the 13. To be fair, I probably don't need the Heikin-Ashis, except it's another way of getting me out when the Heikin-Ashi changes. So if it changes from red Heikin-Ashis to green Heikin-Ashis, it will take me out. So take me out a little bit late, but not as late as it would if it went to my stop loss. Because my stop loss will be up here, and it will take
But
me
getting
out.
in early, sometimes with the 62 on there, you could get right to the bottom of that wave before you could even think about getting in normally.
Exactly. So I'm going to send you the I'm going to send you the 105, and then I'll send you my current settings. But I've only just started testing them. Now, the point is with my current settings, it hasn't got me into a trade. But we've got the whole weekend to sort that out.
Okay.
I'll message Oliver and tell him that I've changed the settings. I've got the latest 105, and I've changed the settings. And why does he think it's not getting me into a trade? It should have got me in on that downward movement. However, this is all part of the learning process. If he tells me that it's something to do with the fact I've got rid of the 62, I might have to think about that again. But I'm happier with that crossover than I was previously with the 62. The 62 is a more confirmed. Well, I used to talk about it as a more confirmed sell, but actually the 62 wouldn't get me in until down here.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm gonna experiment next week with this lot of settings.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll get onto Oliver about those three things I made a note of. I'll send you the 105, and I'll also send you my settings. And I'll need to let you know what Oliver says about why it hasn't got me into a trade.
What I might do is what I've set up now with the 4 afternoon pairs. I might actually set up the 4 morning pairs just for now. And when I give them a different number, will they come up on the expert list? Will there be 8 on there then? One for morning, one for 4 for the morning, 4 for the afternoon.
No, what I would do is if you look up here, there's a little thing that says manage profiles, and you see
Okay.
that where
Yeah.
and if you click on that, I've got
Yeah.
2 profiles. I've got a CF profile and I've got a default profile. The default profile is my afternoon 4
Yeah.
pairs, and the crossfire, that is not a good name for it because they're all crossfire. But that one, if I show you that one, I've actually got these 5 pairs because I've put Euro
Right.
US in as well. So if I
Yeah.
go to pro, if I want to, if I'm happy with that, I can save that, click on that and save it, and then I can go to the other setup, which I call default. And when I'm happy with that, oh yeah, I just realised oh no, that's right. So it's this one up here. You can create a profile for the 4 morning pairs. Well, I've got 5 morning pairs, and then you can create a separate profile with a different magic number. Make sure you use a
Yeah.
different magic number for the morning pairs and the afternoon pairs, and then it'll
Yeah.
keep them in separate baskets, and therefore your I'm going to have to look at that again. I've somehow managed to get this on 1%. Yeah, it's changed it on your US, but I need to change it on the others. I feel more comfortable with 0.5%, because then if all 4 pair goes wrong, I've lost 2%, not 4%.
Yeah.
So I'll send you those. It'll take me a few minutes, but I'll send you
Yeah,
those.
that's all right. You're going to send me those through Facebook
I'll send them through
again.
Messenger, yeah. And in fact,
Okay.
I might put it in the general chat just in case anybody else wants this one. But I think I'll hold back until Oliver sorts out why it didn't get me into a trade.
Okay.
I won't make
Yeah.
it public until got that, but I'll send it to you because you know that there is an issue. We should have solved it by Monday morning.
Okay,
Or,
that's fine. And you're going to send me you're going to attach your settings on there so I can put those in as well.
yeah, I'll send them separately, but you'll get everything this afternoon.
Yeah.
I
Okay. All
might
right,
need,
Richard. No problem.
I'm dog sitting. I've got 2 dogs, and I
Yeah.
might need to take them out for a little walk before I do anything else.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, well, thanks for jumping on, and
No worries.
I'll see you next week. I'll keep in touch. Whatever I learn, I'll send on to you.
Okay. All right, Richard. Thanks a
Okay,
lot.
thanks now.
Good